Students, welcome to a session on derivatives in English. First of all, I would like to share what do we mean by derivatives and what are the benefits and the usage of derivatives in English language. Now, we can see that in language, there are various words that are formed from one root word, like driver. Driver has been derived from the word drive. So there has to be one root word. And if we keep on extending that root word, we see that new words are formed and they are somehow related to uh, each other in terms of their meaning. So now we see like the word derivatives, it itself has derived from a verb that is derive. And from derive, we see the word derivative. So derivative denotes the action or um, the process of deriving new words from one existing known and established root word. And so here we see that there is one underlying source to all those words that have been derived from one root word. And a root word means that a word which cannot be broken down into any further simpler part and which itself can stand alone and convey some logical meaning. Like we said, driver. Driver is the derivative of drive, but drive cannot be broken down into any further smaller or simpler component because if it is broken down, it will lose its meaning. We cannot make it like DER and the other side IVE. No, we cannot do it because if we break that small word into any further component, that will not make any sense. So the smallest we could break this word is drive from driver. Similarly, we have other words like dictate and then dictator and then dictatorship. So dictator and dictatorship has been derived from the root word dictate, and dictate cannot be broken down into any further smaller component. And so dictate becomes the root word for dictator and dictatorship. Now here we will see that why are derivatives important. The reason why derivatives are important because they give us an idea of the meaning of a word. Like we might not know what dictatorship is, but then we know the word dictate. And so dictatorship has to do something with dictate. So when we look at the word dictatorship or dictator, we can relate it with the root word that is dictate. And we can try to understand the meaning of that word that it is about to convey. Similarly, it adds on to our vocabulary. And without knowing a few words, just knowing the underlying layer or the root word, we can connect the root word with its derivative and try to understand what that bigger or unknown word is. So, therefore, derivatives become quite useful. Now, there are sometimes when we use derivative, it can lead to a change in entire grammatical category. Like we have the word, the root word as a noun, could later become as a verb, or we can have a root word as a verb can become noun. We will see in the further upcoming PPTs presentation, like how do we see these kind of grammatical changes, grammatical category, and we will also see that what are these categories that are changed, named. So first of all, I'll tell you that there are three main kinds of linguistic derivative. In this lesson, we are only going to talk about the linguistic or the language derivative. The first one is morphological derivation. The second is inflection derivation. And the third is etymological derivation. Now, moving on to the first one, we see that a morphological derivation has a root word and we try using affixes to it to make or create new words to it or out of it. Now, there are a few words like we can see childish. Childish is derived from the root word child and an affix is added to it. That is ish. Affix is any addition that we do. It could be pre, it could be post, it could be in between. Whatever addition that we do in a word to make a new word is called affix. So childish is the derivative of the word child when we add the affix ish to it. Similarly, refill. So fill is the root word. And we understand that refill is the act of filling again. So re cannot understand or stand by itself unless it is connected to a word called fill. Or there are some other words in which re can add meaning, like occur, reoccur. So similarly, we see here refill. Fill is the root word, re is the affix added to it, and then it makes sense together, making the word new word that is refill. Now, here we see there are many other words like fool, foolish, or fool, foolish, foolishness. So the root word remains fool, and when you add ish to it, it becomes a new word, foolish. And when you add ness to it, it becomes another new word, foolishness. But the root word remains fool. And so this is how we see that one root word is made into new words. This is called morphological derivation by adding new affixes every time to it. Now, what are affixes? Affixes are of three types. It can be prefix when you put it before a word. It can be suffix when you put it at the end of the word. And when you put it in between somewhere in the word, then it is infix. Now, some of the examples are like honest. Honest is the root word. When you add this, that is a common prefix to make the whole word negative, and so it makes dishonest. That is a derivative of honest by adding a prefix, and because we are adding a affix, that is prefix, suffix, or infix, which makes it a morphological derivation. Similarly, we have some other words here: honor, honorable. Now, there are some more common prefixes and their meanings are pre. Whenever we add the prefix pre, it always symbolizes or signifies something that is before. So mature, when you add pre, premature. Submission, when you add pre, pre-submission. Now, inter always conveys the meaning between, like disciplinary, interdisciplinary. Connect, interconnect. Now, we have IRIMIN for the negative of any word, like responsible, irresponsible, possible, impossible, active, inactive. Similarly, we have uni, that is one, and it, when added to any word, makes it similar or one in its context, like unisex, unicellular, uniform. Similarly, now we have trans, that is across or beyond, like transgender, transmission, transformer, or tri, that is tripod, tricolor, or trimester. Here we see that these all words pre, inter, uni, trans, tri, all these are the prefixes when added to any of the root word makes a new word. Could be the opposite of the same word, could be adding some more meaning to it. That is universal, like uni is universal meaning to one. Tri is universal meaning to three. Inter is universal meaning to in between. So all these pre adds meaning to a word, making it a new word. And all the new words that are derived on the right hand side of this PPT, you can see all these are the derivatives, which are the morphological derivatives of the original word. Now moving to the next one. Here we have some more meaning with the suffixes. Suffixes like dum, kingdom, freedom. When you add dum to king, it becomes a state of being, freedom. Similarly, ity and ty, ity and t, the quality of simplicity, equality are derived from the words simple and equal. Meant, betterment, confinement, derived from the word better and confine. And similarly, we have other words that you can see here. Now, moving on to the next one. The second one is called inflectional derivation. Inflectional is when there is an entire change in the root word to adhere to the grammatical rules and illustrate tenses, gender, number, person, and mood. So we see a grammatical category in the derivative. Now here we can see some of the examples which changes the whole grammatical category of a word. Like we have some examples here, the word skip. Now skipping, the base word is skip, and skipping becomes the present progressive where the grammatical category changes, and skipped becomes the past progressive. Again, the grammatical category changes. So skip, when ing is added, it makes it present progressive, takes it into another grammatical category. And when you add skip ed to it, it becomes a past tense. That is, it is another grammatical category. So whenever in the root word, if we add any prefix, suffix, or any kind of affix to it, and if the grammatical category makes a shift or is changed from its present category, then that kind of change is called inflectional derivative. Some more examples we can see here, like jump is the present state, jumped is past tense, so that is inflectional derivative. Swim, swimming, pencil, pencils. So pencil is the singular noun, pencils becomes a plural one. So we see a change in grammatical category, and that makes it inflectional derivative. Now, we can see a few more examples for inflectional and derivational. And the last one we see is etymological derivation. Now, etymological derivation is the word which has its origin in other language and not in our language. Like English is a language that is borrowed, that has borrowed a lot of words, many words from other languages. Like many words find their origin from Greek, from Latin, from French, many other sources, and it's not exactly something that has been created or derived by English. So here in etymological derivation, we see that there are some of the roots that are not found in English language, and such derivation from some other language which English borrows for itself is called etymological derivation. For example, physics is not our language. Physics is not from English. It has been derived from the Greek word physis, meaning nature. Similarly, happy is derived from Viking word hap, meaning luck. And tree is derived from Old English, meaning trio. There are various other words which also finds its root in different languages. All these kind of derivation which derives from different language, and then English comes up to be a word that is in English or a word that is taken by English as a source and then made more derivatives out of that is called etymological derivation. I hope this lesson was enlightening for you and you can understand the concept of derivation, its usage and its types. And here I close. Thank you so much.